Stewart and I'm the Rural Business Officer at the Mornington Peninsula Shire. I'm just going to kickstart this presentation with a bit of context about the agricultural component of our landscape, and then I'll pass over to Kevin, who will look from another angle of collaboration and linkages with the local government and the opportunities that's providing, and then we'll end with a special little peri-urban treat for you all. So thank you. I did that map last year, just playing around a bit, and probably about 18 months ago, we wouldn't have been able to put anything in that, really context anything, not anything, but a lot of stuff in that landscape regarding agricultural production. So we've come a long way in the last 18 months, and I just want to take you on a little bit of that journey. We are a peri-urban region when we are an interface council, but we do sit within the context of a peri-urban zone where agricultural production takes place. 24,000 hectares of land in our shire out of 72,000 hectares actually qualifies for a farmland agricultural rate, which is about 1/3 of our landscape. So there is a lot of country that's undertaking some level of agricultural productivity that's larger than 2 hectares within the Mornington Peninsula Shire. About 18 months ago, the council, through 2 documents that had been undertaken, the Mornington Peninsula Strategic Plan and also an Economic Sustainability Strategy, identified agriculture as an important component of the landscape in terms of economic, social and environmental resilience. However, there's a lot. They were words on paper, and I applaud the council really and the drive that influenced the council to actually commission a study, a 3-month study on determining the place and production of agriculture in the landscape in the Shire. And I undertook that role as a Shire employee for 3 months, and did, a lot of you have probably seen it now, an agricultural audit where we were really wanting to gather baseline data within our Shire and actually know what we have. Really important thing that's come from that as to where we are 18 months later. So we really looked at the type and size of production, the size of the holdings. There's 1,289 parcels in that 24,000 hectares that has agricultural production on it. Looking at the distribution, the quality and quantity of product, where it's heading, who's purchasing it, etc., the gaps and opportunities, and really, as we've heard this morning, looking at maybe preservation and protection of critical food production areas in an environment that has got the most amazing, beautiful quality, beautiful climate, amazing soils. I've worked in the low rainfall farming system zones in the inland wheat sheep areas, and coming to the peninsula and starting to work in the peri-urban space, I've got a soils background and I've just fell in love with how alive the soils are. So I'm really passionate about doing a lot more work in terms of preservation and protection. So there's the audit there. Just a quick bit of colour and texture. We're rich in scale and diversity and seasonality within our region. That's what we've uncovered. We're ad hoc in terms of connectivity and awareness of production across our region, and we have lots of possibilities and opportunities in terms of the way we move forward with our production systems and processes. We've got about $450 to $500 million worth of raw produce that I was able to identify in that period, and we know that there's a lot more out there, but it was a snapshot to say there is an economic value of agriculture in the landscape, as well as all the other aspects that I've mentioned, social and environmental, that are a bit harder to quantify, but definitely hearing this morning able to qualify from the social and the natural asset capital that we have in the region. So really doing an audit gave us great baseline information to be aware of what we have in the landscape. With great awareness comes the capacity to make good decisions and look at investment in rural industry development in our region. We do have a lot of assets there and a lot of opportunities, and one of the main things really that has come out is nurturing of a local food economy. We have been really ad hoc and scattered in how things are distributed, in how people are connected, in how resources are allocated, in how capacity supports the region in R&D, and that's been very limited because we aren't a traditional agricultural region that definitely can capture rural RDC investment. Because we're not really seen in big commercial context in a lot of cases, but in vegetable and poultry, we're significant players. And one of the biggest things I'll just mention at the end is capacity building with small landholders down here is a process I've started. Size doesn't matter in our region. People want to do what they do well. Bit of a song, isn't it? But anyway, we're really starting to help people who are passionate about their bit of dirt, wanting to look after it, nurture it and identify opportunities. If it's 2 hectares, if it's 15 hectares. I'll pass over to Kevin, and just noting that we have some significant passion in our landscape at that small scale. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon everybody. It is easy to be rather overwhelmed by some of the efforts that have been made around the globe. I represent Mornington Peninsula Gourmet, which is one of about 10 food groups around the state that are loosely connected by their passion to promote food and beverage within their region. Mornington Peninsula Gourmet is a not-for-profit organisation. Its committee is run by a group of volunteers, all of whom have their own businesses to run. Mine is cattle farming now that I'm retired from teaching. We do work in collaboration with a number of various stakeholders, and it's the only way in which such a group can survive. That we work closely with the Mornington Peninsula Shire, that we work with the Mornington Peninsula Vignerons Association, with the Red Hill Show Society, and with government departments such as Innovation and Business and Primary Industries. We have, as you can see, a range of membership. The bulk of that membership are in the first two, both the production, both primary and value added, and in the retail outlets, of which there are various types. We're quite happy to have accommodation, marketing, tour guide operators as part of our members, so it's an inclusive rather than an exclusive situation, and they're involved because they see some value in being part of that network. In terms of how we help with promotion, Gourmet itself provides an annual gourmet guide of about 55,000 copies. We're now distributing that over about 120 different locations, mostly on the Mornington Peninsula, but also in Melbourne and to a small extent interstate. We have an interactive website that links to individual enterprises' own websites. We do facilitate discount advertising because we're affiliated with Mornington Peninsula Tourism, which is directly linked to Tourism Victoria, and through that connection we're able to provide some cheap advertising, and both editorial and graphic art assistance is then provided through Mornington Peninsula Tourism. We are able to help people with sales exposure, and so we have a presence at a major function within the area called Winter Wine Weekend. We facilitate getting producers to the Queen Victoria Market Producers Day, and we've had good success at some of Melbourne's high-rise, and that's worth just a comment, that many of Melbourne's high-rise living facilities have an event manager attached to them whose job it is to provide a form of networking across that community. And they are quite delighted to be approached for sales opportunities and tastings, of course, of produce from various areas. And so at no cost to the producer, a ready audience, they usually have their own newsletters, and so you can do a promotion beforehand, and on a Thursday night or whenever it is, have great access to that community. Gourmet is committed to providing food chains for local produce. It's had a couple of goes now at providing regional beef. The first one was done in collaboration with Meat and Livestock Australia, and they were most helpful, but we had too many players in that chain, and the wholesale butcher aspect of the chain fell down, and so it fell over. We've now entered into a new arrangement with a business called Prime Cuts or O'Connor Meats, and they are involved in every step of the chain. So we're dealing just with one company, and that's got great element of success. with fresh fruit and vegetables. Again, we're a facilitator. We have no aim to be directly involved in these things. One of our members is called Peninsula Fresh Organics. They have a box system and they use their own product as well as picking up from other farms and taking out. We're able to put other growers in touch with them in order to access their market. A place like Tully's is a commercial, almost a supermarket, out of town, but are interested in an element of difference, and they've approached Gourmet to look at using Tully's as a distribution centre and look at using Gourmet as a centre. We don't have a shop front at this stage, and maybe to have a shop front with them. I'll finish on the famil for councillors because of the success that had. That we did, after an election of councillors with new councillors on board, we did run a half-day famil out to growers, and the success of that was quite tremendous in terms of councillors' better awareness of the needs of the grower, of council's better awareness of Gourmet itself, of attending Gourmet functions and using those functions for their own networking capacity. So I was quite surprised at just how successful a half-day venture turned out to be. So I'll finish on that note.